Guys, we just saw Brandon Moreno lose. There's some big news to talk about, some fight news that dropped also during the broadcast. We got a little Carlos Prates, JDM. I had a good 24 hours or so to just, decompress over last night, as you guys maybe have known. If you watched the stream yesterday, I was live waiting for Dana White to make an announcement. I mean, we were live for 4 hours waiting. It was to the point where it was like, we're talking through the news. There isn't really much else to talk about. I'm here, like, my throat's dry. I didn't have water for the first hour. Big mistake. I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? These are all things you learn. And all for it to literally be pretty much what we had been discussing for the past, 3 hours, 4 hours, or whatever, which was Alex Pereira moving up to heavyweight, Yuri and Olberg, Hamzat not being the fight. So I've had 24 hours to decompress, and we are here live once again. So shout out to you if you were on that stream. And yeah, shout out to you. I think I am live, right? Or hopefully, yeah, everything's working out. Okay, but yeah, like I said, 24 hours to decompress. We're here, we're live. We have the UFC Mexico card to talk about. We have a lot of different things to talk about, I guess you could say, right? I mean, we have also fight. Like I said, I want to talk mostly about also the fight night announcements. We also had Michael Morales call out Islam Makhachev. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to answer any questions, of course, as always. Yeah, let's get into it, guys. Hold up. Let me start with this. I mean, should we just recap, I guess, UFC Mexico? Just finished up, just wrapped up. I thought I could give my thoughts. Poor Brandon Moreno, man, took another L. It's getting tough for Brandon Moreno. Is he going to, is he going to finally get a win? I don't know. I hope that he does get a win, pretty soon. I am a Brandon Moreno fan, but, the guy is pretty young too, but he didn't look that good. He didn't look himself. But it was a decent fight. Brandon Moreno, I was rooting for him to win, didn't win. I was more honestly interested in the other fights, which was the co-main event with Chito Vera. I mean, that was just an amazing fight. Like, I was really an amazing fight in the way that I just was rooting for Marlon Vera, and it was just disappointing. So it wasn't even really amazing at all. It was just engaging though, like these are the type of fights that I kind of miss. Like, I feel like the UFC's been lacking. Like, I really did appreciate the co-main and the third fight, which was my favorite fight, Bobby Green versus Daniel Zellhuber. Guys, shout out to Bobby Green finally getting a win against Daniel Zellhuber, who is a massive underdog against. I don't think anybody thought that this was going to happen, but Bobby Green really looked good. Bobby Green looked like his old self, actually was able to get a win. And knocked him out, surprisingly. Knocked out a young prospect. You don't really see that from the old guys, especially at that age, 38 years old. I mean, you would think, like, okay, this is the time they're going to pair him up with the young guys. He's going to just lose. Nah, he literally comes back. Shout out to Bobby Green. And, look, I like the fight night. Like I said, I think the UFC fight nights are improving. Will it come at the cost of the pay-per-views? As of right now, it kind of appears so. We're seeing, honestly, although I will say the April pay-per-view is a really good pay-per-view, but when you look at the next week's pay-per-view, it's lacking. You know what I'm saying? If you would have kind of threw a Marlon Vera fight on there, that would have buffed it up. So it's interesting, but, the fight nights are better, and at the end of the day, if it's week to week, and what are pay-per-views anyway? They're not even really pay-per-views anymore. They're just numbered events. It's the same thing, so who really cares? I guess, I don't know. You guys let me know in the chat. I don't know if I'm bugging with that, but let me know. I do want to talk about, like I said, I actually just rate it, and then I want to move on and talk more about the other fight news, because that's a little bit more interesting than the fight night, honestly, I thought. But, Marlon Vera loses again. Hope he actually, I don't know what's going to happen with him next. What happens with Moreno will also be interesting. Does he, what do you call it? Does he move up to bantamweight? That'll be interesting. I see real Kevin K, which should we even talk about this guy after the shenanigans he's pulled with, Hamza versus Yuri happening? I'll show you guys right now. He tweeted out and said, King Green calls out Michael Chandler for UFC Fight Night event following his win. I actually kind of like that fight. I like that fight a lot. I think that would make sense. And at the White House, that's, we were talking about yesterday, get 2 Americans. Though that's a fight with 2 Americans. Guys, is the chat dead? What's going on here, man? I'm not feeling the love as I was last night. But we keep at it. Shout out to y'all that are here. So yeah, Brandon Moreno. So I'd actually, let me move on because I want to talk about this. Let me actually put this on the screen. Michael Morales. Shout out to Michael Morales, someone that I have been kind of championing for a minute now to kind of get the next title shot. I've been saying, look, he is by far, I thought, the most interesting out of all the options. Ian Gary, I think, yeah, he does present a difficult matchup for Islam because, he has good takedown defense. He's been practicing his grappling. He's also a really long and a big guy, and he's, he's beat most of his people. He fought Shavkat. He lost to Shavkat, but also at the end of the day, that was a pretty close fight. And Shavkat, I think, is pretty good. So, it didn't really, I don't really think that, the Shavkat loss really made him look bad or anything like that. So I think that against Islam, I could see Islam winning, to be honest. I could see Islam winning, but I still think that Ian Gary presents kind of difficult problems, because I just think the size, because look, even JDM, right? Yeah, JDM was the first fight at welterweight, and I thought that Islam actually looked better than he even did at lightweight. He could just be a guy that performs better at welterweight, to be honest, but, I thought that, but I think that JDM is a little bit closer in size than Islam was, but I could see Ian Gary or Michael Morales, who I kind of want to talk about, be bigger. And I want to say that, look, if it's between them two, because we've already established, look, people don't really want to see Kamaru Usman versus Islam. I think, yeah, give Usman another fight. I'm not so huge on it, but it wasn't that bad. Honestly, I wasn't like a big hater on it. I know some people were really shitting on the fight, saying, oh, it shouldn't be Usman versus Islam. As I said, there isn't really, to me, that number one guy. I think Prates and Michael Morales, they both need kind of one more step to get that title shot, in my opinion. Like, I feel like they're both just on the cusp. Like, it just feels slightly too early. And that's where you get kind of with Ian Gary, because then you're left with Ian Gary. And, like, Ian Gary, he's kind of positioned himself. If you're going to be fair, I think he deserves the title shot. That's my opinion. However, this is where we get to Michael Morales, because I'm going to actually pull up the video. So I could actually see it. Hopefully I don't get like copyrighted or anything like that for showing it, but I'm going to try to find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah. So here it is. So Michael Morales right here. Okay. Right now, I don't know why it's taking a little bit to load. I don't know what's going on, guys. Bear with me here. We're on Twitter. I don't know what's happening. This is a little tough. Let's see. Okay. I don't know, guys. Hopefully we get this coming. Okay, here we are. Michael Morales. He points at Islam Makhachev, and that's him. That's obviously the name of him. So it's a little call out of Islam Makhachev. So, I mean, like I said, I really like, I said this literally on stream yesterday, I really like what Michael Morales has done, like with the promotion, to the point where he has won me over, guys. And that's why, what's up, Piggly Wiggly? I see you here. Shout out to you. That's why I've been saying, guys, I actually did this. If you check out my Twitter, I actually did retweet this and like it and everything, and I interacted because I think the UFC are testing the waters with this. They posted it on their social media page themselves. I had shared a different social media, but they actually did post this on their social media. I think they're kind of testing the waters a little bit. I think they're saying, hey, okay, what is the fan interaction like? And to be honest, is there really many Ian Gary fans? I did see someone in the chat yesterday say that they were actually hoping Ian Gary gets the title shot and that they're a fan and like Ian Gary. That's like the first time I've ever heard something like that. I've never heard really many people say they like Ian Gary, and I'm one of these people that I don't really like Ian Gary myself. I would much rather Michael Morales too. He's a big guy. Don't really know how many fights he has at welterweight. I really think he's someone that's probably going to go up to 185 within the next year or two, to be honest. Like, I could see maybe if he gets passed up for the title shot, maybe he just goes to 185 and says, give me a number one contenders fight there or something like that. Maybe he doesn't exactly have that pull to say, oh, give me a number one contenders fight, but him and Sean Strickland, imagine something like that. That would be crazy. But also at the same time, it's really not that crazy. It actually could happen. You know what I'm saying? Realistically, what's up, John Dong? I see you here too. Realistically, it could happen because I think that Michael Morales is that big. of a welterweight. So we'll see. And I think that he should get the next title shot, in my opinion, just because I think it's the funnest fight. I think that he's going to bring the most, shit talk. He's kind of like the most superstar, like, potential out of all of them. Like, he isn't like, I mean, I do see some people, especially with him being Ecuadorian, I believe, right? I'm not messing that up, right? He's Ecuadorian or something. He has like a fan base from that, just obviously going to have that built in. So, people are just going to, follow that. But now he's also getting, the attention of U.S., what I'm saying, and other regions like myself. Like, look, I'm saying to y'all, look, I want him to get a title shot. And I think that this is a way for him to, these are great opportunities, because where the hell has Ian Gary been? What is Ian Gary doing? Ian Gary says he's in camp, to be honest. I think he's probably, but the problem isn't who does Ian Gary fight? Who do you guys think? What about Ian Gary versus Usman? I like that. I actually like that a lot. Ian Gary versus Usman. You guys let me know who do you guys want Ian Gary to fight? I'm going to put up a poll and you guys can vote, because I am curious. Ian Gary versus, I'm going to put Usman, and we'll put the champ himself. We'll put, I'll put Morales, I guess. And what do you call it? Who else? Who else should I put as the fourth? I'm trying to think who else would be a good fourth. Morales, Islam, Usman. Well, you already fought Prates, so I don't know. Should I just leave it like this, guys? I don't know. Someone else. Or I don't know. No, I'll just leave it like this. Oh, yeah, let's do someone else. You guys can vote. All right. Yeah, you guys let me know. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Personally, I think, yeah, Usman. I see, let's see. I see Red Hulk here. Well, shout out to you, Red Hulk. I remember you from yesterday. Say Usman. I agree. Marty on his podcast was talking about how the UFC is not keen on him fighting for the belt next. Usman should fight one more time. I like Ian versus Usman. Now, I like Ian versus Usman, too. You do that for a number one contenders fight. Morales versus Islam. You do that hopefully maybe May. Maybe they do. Because if it's not May, think about it like this, guys. The UFC schedule is kind of packed, although they have done, and I'm surprised to hear that International Fight Week is going to be July 11th, because they have typically done, especially the last few years, 2 events in June. And I feel like, dude, the schedule is really packed to the point where we are what? I mean, well, now it's March. Actually just turned March 1st in the East Coast. But, we essentially have pretty much, like, from rumors that came out today, and we'll get into it because that's also something that broke today. Ariel Helwani just created some more rumors about fight news and stuff, so we'll break that down in a second. But we essentially kind of have maybe up to June pay-per-views booked. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, okay, May is the biggest TBD because we don't know May. But think about it like this. We got April, we know, obviously. Well, we know March is next week, the March pay-per-view. We got April pay-per-view, which is Yuri and Olberg. You got May, which is TBD. Like I said yesterday, it could be Islam versus someone. Maybe Islam versus Ian Gary. It seems like maybe they're leaning towards that direction. However, with this post, I am saying, hey, yesterday I was pretty convinced they're going to go Ian versus Islam. Now I'm starting to think, nah, I think they're going to go, I mean, I'm more in the middle now because I think it's really depending on the fan interaction, which is why I'm saying if you agree with me that you want Michael Morales versus Islam Makhachev, I encourage you, interact with the post in some way, whether it's sharing it, I feel like I'm coming off as glazing now. It's not even because I'm a huge, Michael Morales fan here. I just think that would be just the best matchup in my opinion. And, I don't know. I don't know really so much about Michael Morales to say I'm a fan, but I could see myself, I like his fighting style, that's for sure, but I don't really know him personally. Like, I don't really see him in interviews or anything like that. So, but he just seems like a cool fighter. And I think that he has the biggest superstardom, like, potential out of all of them. Like I said, Ian Gary's just not likable. Nobody wants to like Ian Gary. Nobody wants to say they're an Ian Gary fan at this point. There's maybe a silent majority or something out there. I have no idea, but I'm not really much of an Ian Gary fan. So I think they should do Ian versus Usman and Michael Morales versus Islam. And then Prates, you already got against JDM. Problem solved. So the fact that Prates is going up against JDM to me also, because that's 2 new pieces of news that came out that's kind of favoring Morales, which number one is this call out that he did on the broadcast. But the other one was the fact that JDM versus Prates was a fight, because if Prates, I mean, if Gary was going to fight Islam, the fight that I would be making is Morales versus Prates, right? Like, I feel like that's the easiest. That's a really good fight. Maybe they don't want a scenario where they kill two, popular stars, two potential stars, maybe. But at the same time, I feel like that's the obvious fight. Apparently Arman Tsarukyan got into a fight after his wrestling match. I guess we'll react to that in a little bit. But we have that breaking news, so we'll break that down in a minute. But what do you call it? I think I think that would make sense doing Morales and Prates. So I think the fact that we have Prates versus JDM confirmed, which, like I said, we were actually talking about that matchup yesterday. I like that matchup. I'm glad it's confirmed. It's going to be really early in the morning, guys. In the East Coast, it's going to be like a breakfast show, because it's going to take place in prime time for Australia. So that's going to be a big fight night. I really like that fight night main event. Like I said, honestly, I will say this about the UFC, guys. We could hate, I'll say that the actual quality of the cards themselves have definitely taken a dive. But the main events, guys, I mean, we're getting some solid main events. We're getting, we have a few bum ones. Like, what's the next one? Emmett versus, I don't even remember at this point. Is it? I don't even know. Josh Emmett's fighting someone. It's like, okay, whatever. But then we get like Izzy versus Pfeiffer, which I really like that as a fight night main event. I even like the fight night main event from this night. I was excited for it. And last week with Sean Strickland and Anthony Hernandez. You also have, obviously, look, the Prates and JDM one. You have Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley, which is going to be at the Apex for some reason. What the hell is that? Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. I saw some people shitting on. Yeah, like, it's a decent enough fight night for me. I just think that's ridiculous that that's at a crowd, but not Joaquin Buckley versus Sean Brady. That makes no sense. UFC card in Miami is very good. No. And that's what I was going to say. I've been saying for a few months, will these big fight night main events hurt the quality of the pay-per-views? Well, Miami is a big detractor of, like, a big argument against what I've been saying for the past few months, which, look, I wasn't saying this was confirmed. I was just saying this is a worry, and we'll see. I've always said TBD, maybe it won't matter. Maybe these pay-per-views will be stacked and we'll still get really good fight night main events, and it's just part of the deal now. I mean, I don't think so at this point. The matchmaking, look, I honestly say I'm kind of in the category. People are hating on the UFC. People say, oh, is the UFC done, this, that. In some ways, some days I think, man, UFC is cooked. Like, I saw a video, and maybe I'll actually try to find it, of Dana White, that it's like a comparison of Dana White announcing fights just 2 years ago, guys, even just 2 years, made a huge difference. And it was just sad, man. Dana White, like 2 years ago, announcing a fight was mad enthusiastic, and then last night, I mean, the guy, he doesn't even remember where the events are taking place. I mean, it's concerning, guys. It's concerning. I'm trying to find it so I could show you guys. But so some days, what I'm trying to say, though, is some days I think, damn, the UFC might be cooked. The UFC we might be cooked, guys. Some days I think that, but other days I'm like, you know what? Actually, we're kind of eating as UFC fans, and these fight night main events, I'll say, is a positive in my opinion. That's what I'll say. And hopefully they keep it up. I think that's what I've said. What I said last year was, I feel like for this Paramount deal, they're trying to create the kind of biggest fights, these big events, which doesn't necessarily mean that people will get the title shot, which is why I really think they would have done Islam versus Usman, but I think the fact that there was such a backlash in the community, I think they actually pulled out of it. They're like, no, we can't do this. I think that was really what it was, because, I mean, it's literally what they did with Stipe. It wouldn't be that out of character. Who else did they do? They did a recent title shot that we were all talking about. What was it? It's slipping my mind. But we're like that. Oh, the interim title with Gaethje and Gaethje and Patty, and then you also had Lopez. You know what I'm saying? Those were baffling matchups to make, and you went from that to to Usman. It really wouldn't be that surprising, at least to me. It seemed to make sense. Dana White looks depressed now. Is Dana White actually doing a post-fight press conference? Shout out to him, man. Maybe we'll get some news. Why is he? Oh, you're just saying in general, because we're talking about the stream, right? Yeah, I know, dude. It's tough, man. I'm trying to see Dana White. I want to try to find this video, because the video was really good, showing like, yo, it was like a huge difference. But I mean, you guys, I'm sure, could tell yourselves. I mean, it's Dana White clearly not involved, and I don't know, maybe it's because of the boxing. I think he is spreading himself a bit thin. I think, look, we've established pretty much the guy doesn't do anything at the UFC. The guy doesn't have any involvement in matchmaking anymore. Apparently, this is according to Dana White's own sworn testimony in court. So this isn't me speculating. This is literally what he said. And I feel like he's just not in. I think he's spread too thin. No, from last night's live, he's not in Mexico City. Yeah, I know. No. This guy never travels anyway. That's why I was gonna be surprised when I first read it. I thought you meant that he was there. I was surprised, because I was like, oh, he's actually there. It turns out it's obviously not the case. But yeah, so obviously that is some news. This call out, I like the call out, and I think we'll see. Potentially the UFC could do something with this, man. Potentially the UFC, if the numbers are big, maybe they say, hey, you know what, let's do it. And I say, why not? Like, I don't really think that Ian Gary looked that good against Bilal. Ian Gary isn't a guy. Like, do you really want him as champ? I would much rather Islam be champ than this guy. I mean, seriously. Like, Islam is way better for the sport than Ian Gary. 1,000%. Usman is at 38%. Oh, 44% now. Usman is at. 33% for Islam. And 22% for Morales. Nobody said for somebody else. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Usman versus Ian Gary is the fight to make. Secondly, if it's not Usman, then it probably would be Islam. You know what I'm saying? Like, Usman would be the only person, especially now that Joaquin Buckley is fighting. It's not even like you can give him like a Joaquin Buckley, Sean Brady type fight, even though that wouldn't really even make sense for him because those guys are coming off losses. But it really has to be Usman or Islam. So we'll see, or he's sidelined or something like that, which is possible, or maybe he fights like an MVP. Oh no, MVP already fought MVP, right? Or he already fought him like 2 years ago. So you can't even do that. I was going to joke about MVP, but, they're holding them hostage, MVP. But Islam versus Morales is more intriguing to me than Ian. Yeah, exactly. It is for me, too. And, honestly, do I think that Ian Gary probably is a harder fight? To me, on paper, yes. Now, could Morales wind up being the harder fight? Absolutely. Who knows? Obviously, Morales could wind up beating him. We don't really know too much about Morales and how he would do. There really isn't that much to give, too much knowledge to know on, how he would do against Islam Makhachev, right? We would think, he probably wouldn't do good, but, he did beat Sean Brady, which I thought was impressive, but, it's not like we could say, he went up against this really high-level grappler that, Sean Brady's a high-level grappler, yeah, but I don't even think he really shot that much. It didn't really it seemed like just a, good movement from Morales, and I think the size is what's intriguing about it as well, because he looks really big. Like I said, I don't really think he'll be a welterweight for too long. He could wind up, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they say, hey, Morales, you have to fight Usman. I mean, maybe he does take the Usman fight because maybe he's pretty confident he'll beat Usman, but okay, if he has to fight Prates, I know obviously he's not going to fight Prates, but if he has to fight Prates, a JDM or something like that, I could see him saying, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm just going to go to a middleweight because I can't make this weight class for another 2 cuts, I could see that being that bad because it seems like a really bad cut for him. So, yeah. Let me see. Okay, guys, so what other news is there? There was this news of Carlos Prates versus JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, coming off of his loss to Islam Makhachev. Let me try to find this. Yes, here is the announcement. It was announced, I believe, kind of online and then on the broadcast, and they talked about when it would be, but May 2nd in Perth. Did they ever say this was the main event, guys? Do you guys know? Because I could not find them say it was the main event. To my knowledge, they did not say it was the main event, So, this is some pretty big news. This is a pretty big fight. We talked about this yesterday on stream, so it's not exactly like, the biggest shock in the world that the fight was made, but I like the fight still. Look, I like it. Like I said, this kind of points more to the direction that Michael Morales could. This gives Michael Morales a bigger chance. To my opinion, it's 50-50, and we'll see. Let's see what tomorrow morning brings, what the atmosphere is like. It could even be leaning towards Michael Morales, Because look, Ian Gary, like I said, do people really care about Ian Gary being champ? I don't think anybody's here. Oh, please let Ian Gary be champ. You know, I don't think so. Michael Morales, however, there are definitely people that would be hype. I mean, I when he fights, I see people posting about him. He definitely catches people's interest. I'm not saying he's like the massive superstar or anything like that, but Ian Gary's probably more well known again amongst like casuals and stuff because you know he's had big moments and big placements on different cards and things like that. So he's had big moments like that and kind of been on a lot of pay-per-views and had a lot of experience. So probably he would attract more casuals names. So maybe they'll go with that, but I don't know. I don't think they said. So yeah, no, this might not be the main event, which would be crazy. The event is happening in prime time in Australia. Yeah, I know that's going to be tough for us in the East Coast and the West Coast too, to be honest. The West Coast might even be more tough than that. Because that's dead in the middle of the night. But what you call it? No, that's an interesting fight. And I mean, should we watch Arman Tsarukyan? I mean, apparently, so Arman Tsarukyan gets into attacks his opponent at. So what was this? No, this is where is this at their match? But was this RAF? This is an RAF. Oh, no, it is RAF. Wow. This is really bad for RAF, man, if this is the case. So hopefully I don't get... I mean, is this on Fox? I don't know. I don't want to, should I risk it? Guys, what do you guys think? Is this copyrighted? Is this not? What's going on? What do you guys think? All right, whatever. We'll risk it for the biscuit. I'm going to move it around so people can't see. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, here's a good angle. Okay, so this one isn't on TV. Wish I would have saw this at first. Yeah, what's going on? I mean, Arman Tsarukyan, man. I like Arman more than the next guy, but this guy, man, he cannot control his temper, bro, at all. You know, and you're just messing up opportunities for yourself, even. But, I don't know what happened, to be fair. Arman ain't never gonna get tell shot again. Deadass Dana White opening X right now. Yeah, deadass Arman Tsarukyan, man. This guy is not making himself. He does not have a good reputation right now. I mean, let's read actually more replies. These replies are pretty funny. Dana White right now. His opponent was fighting dirty first. So people are saying, bro just doesn't want to fight for the title. Beat his ass. Clown had a coming. Dirty fighter. Blah, blah, blah. So... yeah, I mean, a lot of people shitting on him, man. A lot of people, what do you guys think about this? Aiden Wade is back. He says stop. I think I saw something about prelims starting at 4 a.m. Yeah, I saw that too as well. Dana White seeing this now will give him a title shot. Stop. Well, I don't know why you're saying to stop. Look, Arman Tsarukyan, man. I like Arman Tsarukyan, but this is the type of shit that this is why he's unreliable. You can't trust him. He's unprofessional. This is another example. Show again. What do you want me to show? The shit. Well, I'll play real quick. I'll play the fight because I'll talk about it and show it at the same time. I mean, here it is, guys. I mean, this is tough. This is tough for Arman Tsarukyan. Like I said, this is what he's known for, being unprofessional. Here's Arman. I don't know what happened. This seems, and Arman, a lot of things are going well in his direction, guys. He has kind of reestablished himself in a way to what do you call it? He's kind of reestablished himself to be respected in the community. When he pulled out of the Islam fight, he was getting shitted on, right? Because he's unreliable. He pulled out, whatever, blah blah blah. Got people excited, I was mad hyped for that fight, and a lot of people were, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's out, and we're seeing Renato Moicano, which I would have much rather see Arman Tsarukyan, obviously, especially how that fight played out. But what do you call it? But no, finally things were going in his favor. Finally, I felt like fans were starting to enjoy him. Fans were really getting on his side. But here we are at this point. The guy has fallen off a bit. It's tough. This is going to definitely hurt him. I'm still a fan of him, obviously. I'm not trying to, make it seem like I'm just saying from the UFC's perspective, this is another reason for them to say, oh, look how you perform. when, look, you can't listen. I mean, Armin Tsarukyan, the day I saw in an interview, he was like, I think it was with Ariel, he was like, oh, I can't even control myself. Like, sometimes, like, it's just like he sees red. It's like, dude, like, you can't have this happening. The UFC, I mean, they always complain about that shit happening at weigh-ins, at press conferences, and I'm sure to a certain extent they like it, but Armin is, has time and time again, I mean, hitting fans, walking out. I mean, it's crazy. This guy's a liability from a business standpoint. But like I said, I like Armin. Crazy. I guess that just happened. Like I said, and RAF too. RAF definitely has a thing. I mean, they're trying to kickstart their brand. They're trying to kickstart their brand and everything like that. This is not the type of reputation you want to have already. Especially to look. This is kind of think about. I didn't watch RAF. I wanted to watch it, but I'm saying like I feel like. Maybe it won't, to be honest. Maybe I'm dragging it. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. Maybe it won't. Watch your mouth. Why did Aiden wait? Am I tripping? Why is there 2 Wades? I'm tripping out, bro. There's like 2 Wades, bro. It's like the Wade brothers. Let's peep this right now. Did you guys see this? A new footage, NFL star Max Crosby sparring Sean Strickland in 2023 just dropped. Strickland throwing heat. So let's take a look at this, guys. Sean Strickland, as we know, known for sparring. This was when he was champ, or maybe after he lost the belt. Maybe after he won or before he beat Adesanya, I guess. I mean, I guess that was a pretty short clip. Sean Strickland, man. Should I spar with Sean Strickland? Who would want to see that? I mean, I would have to if I were there, right? There would be no getting out of that. That would just have to happen. Can you stop talking? What the hell do you want me to do? Just sit here? Sit here and like stare? I mean, what the hell? Oh yeah, let's talk about this. We didn't talk about this news. I knew there was a piece of news we didn't talk about. Ariel Helwani did give a little bit of some reporting. I don't know him. I don't know. Y'all seem like brothers to me, bro. Or maybe lovers. Maybe husband and husband. Ariel Helwani did reveal some news about the White House card. Let's get into it, guys. A couple things about Conor McGregor, Pereira gone, Alex Pereira, John Jones. I mean, we're got me stroking my chin this morning. Pause. Okay. Let's break it off with this. First of all, there are talks of Pereira and John Jones. This is according to Ariel Helwani. He reported this. There's apparently some talks of John Jones. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the fight's going to happen. It seems that just maybe like, hey, going back and forth, early negotiations, kind of feeling it out, kind of seeing, hey, is it possible if we decide to go down this route? Let's talk. Let's have some conversations. Let's think about it. Because obviously Dana White has said time and time again that John Jones is a big liability. 2 Wades, haha. Yo, we need a Wade concept here. The trio. But obviously, Dana White has said before, John Jones is not reliable. You can't count on John Jones because of John Jones in the past, obviously. Tons of issues, pulling out events, blah, blah, blah. Whether it be from, I'm not talking about just injury. I'm talking about drug, hitting pregnant ladies, vacating titles here and there, ducking fights. I mean, the guy has been, clearly apparently made a deal with Dana White and backed out of the Tom Aspinall fight. They had a deal. They had it done. And then the fight, then eventually he backed out or whatever. So John, apparently there are some talks. So maybe this is just the UFC considering it. However, it seems that plan B is Pereira versus Cyril Gane for the interim or vacant title. Now, Ariel, I did watch this video. Ariel, it seemed like to me, I was kind of on the fence, was he saying that Pereira Cyril Gane will be the plan B at the White House, or is that just plan B for Pereira? So does that mean that we could see Pereira versus Cyril Gane at the White House? Some might interpret that he was saying that. To me, I don't think that's, first of all, it would also not, to me, make too much sense other than the fact that I guess it's a good fight. Yeah, it's a big fight, but, you would think, I guess, they could just do, but you would think, John Jones and Pereira is a really good fight to have at the White House. Just given it's supposed to be at the White House, you would think, there would be at least one American in the equation, right? Shall we battle, Jack? Battle at what? John gets cooked out there before the fight. Yeah, exactly. That's always possible. So, does that mean that so I feel like does this mean that Cyril Gane and Pereira will be the main event at the White House potentially? It could be. Like I said, it is a big fight. However, like I said, I would think there would be at least one American, right? Like, I'm trying to think, though. As I was saying yesterday, there is not a fight you can make with two big Americans. The closest thing you can do is John Jones and Pereira, where Pereira does live in America. John Jones is obviously American himself. But, Pereira, it's not like you have, like I said yesterday, but it comes with the challenge of doing a UFC event at the White House. Like, I feel like it makes more sense to do, like, a baseball, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me not. Like, that is more of, like, oh, like, American spirit. If they're worried about, oh, Ilia Topuria knocking out Justin Gaethje, it's like, you guys didn't think that this was a possibility. What did you guys think? I mean, maybe they thought that they really could just do American versus American, but I don't know. Acknowledge me, acknowledge my presence. I've been reading everything. I think Pereira fights in many. I think Pereira fights in the main numbered event against Cyril Gane, I guess. That would make sense, but then who is the main event at the White House? That would be really crazy. I mean, who is it? Just Ilia versus Gaethje? Because this one I was going to talk about, and I think I got sidetracked. If you look at the next few months, we have International Fight Week, and we'll talk about this because he does give a little bit of an update on Conor McGregor, a potential date. Now, to me, how Ariel said it didn't make it seem like, oh, they're planning this. It said, I think he made it seem like, oh, that's probably more likely going to happen if it happens at all. So I don't really think that this is any confirmation that Conor's coming back. But to me, does Pereira Cyril Gane main event at the White House? I mean, we have this. Look at it like this. We have April already figured out. May, we don't know what the main event is. We talked about maybe Islam versus Ian Gary. We were also just literally, Piggly Wiggly just said Pereira versus Gane. I assume Pereira versus Gane because I assume if it's Jones versus Pereira, I assume they would do that at the White House, right? Like, that would be crazy doing Jones versus Pereira and then not at the White House. That would just make no sense. But what you call it? I think that that will probably be something there, and then the White House card. Then you got this International Fight Week card, which could be Conor McGregor, because Ariel Helwani did say Conor McGregor more likely to fight on International Fight Week, July 11th in Vegas. So it makes sense for a lot of reasons, because as Ariel said, the UFC is not making money from this event, and they actually came out with something recently saying they're going to lose about $30 million from this event. It apparently costs like $60 million. They're probably going to make about $30 million back. They're losing money, but let's be real. Obviously, it is a massive spotlight for the company, and I think in some ways it can be positive and negative. It really just depends on how it goes. I think it's going to really depend on the card. If the card is really phenomenal, if it is a John Jones versus Pereira, I think that could potentially take over the story of the political stuff and be like, oh, come on, this card is just so awesome. Like, who gives a fuck where it's at, But what I'm talking about is not UFC fans, of course, as I've always said. I'm not talking about us. Obviously, we don't care. We're just happy to get a good card. But I'm talking about mainstream media. I'm talking about the casual audiences. Will it hurt the brand? That's all stuff. We were talking about that a lot on the stream yesterday, about the politicization of the UFC and all this stuff. But let's see what you guys say. You say, what's up, Jack? If these guys can't figure it out, they should have two Americans in the main event. That will be incredible. Oh, if they can't figure it out, they should get two Americans. It's just like, what two Americans, right? Like, you guys let me know. But although, someone in the stream yesterday, I forgot who that was, but whoever you are, that was fucking goated. Came up with like a list of fucking American versus American matchups. It was great. I wish I could remember them right now, but he had really good ones. I mean, Colby Covington, Bo Nickel was one. Do they make it just like a fight night? I mean, that honestly, it wouldn't be, honestly, I think maybe, I think the problem is that they've already sold it as this mega event, but maybe it would have made more sense, hey, just do it for the military type. If you really want to have this like American patriotic event, make it a fight night, kind of it's like an Apex event sort of on the lawn of the White House. Trump could be there. It's on Trump's birthday, whatever. You could be literally like just a really great fight night. Could be like the main event. I don't know. It could even have, it could even have a title. Like it could have been even a fight night with Ilia and Gaethje or something, like a special one like that, But I think because they have this like, oh, it's just such a huge event. But if you want to do American versus American, you probably could, but it would just have to be, I think, scaled down, which is kind of tough. Does the White House event even happen? Ever since it was announced, I have had a feeling that the White House event doesn't happen. I think look, we're like, what, 3 months away from this? I think that's going to happen. I felt like I was agreeing like pre-January, or even January I was. But now that we're literally in March, I'm like, I think at this point that they've probably settled through too much stuff to say, oh yeah, it's not going to happen. I think it's definitely going to happen, at this point. But I would be shocked if not. I think maybe something could have went wrong logistically already. I mean, you never know. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? But what do you call it? How do you think Kyle Dawkins does against Bo Nickel? I think Bo Nickel would win. I don't think Bo Nickel. Look, I think Kyle Dawkins, he came back to the UFC, has been looking a lot better, but I don't think Bo Nickel is I think he would probably wrestle him. But yeah, no, but he did say that Conor McGregor could be fighting International Fight Week. So, which is a big departure from, the White House card. And that would explain some tweets from Conor McGregor kind of, seemingly being not happy with who he's offered with, kind of saying that it's a no-name. And he's like flexing, saying, oh, it's a no-name, but of course I sign anyway. I'll fight anybody, blah, blah, blah. And it appears, so like I said, we did see Prates now get teamed up with JDM, or get matched up with JDM. And we kind of were going back and forth. Could it be Prates versus McGregor, which I actually think is a better move than Ruffy versus McGregor, in my opinion. I know that Ruffy obviously has the whole comparison to Conor McGregor and Prime Conor and things like that, but Ruffy, I just don't think he's done as much. Like, I think if he would have went out there and KO'd Fiziev with ease early or something, or had a spectacular performance, but how that fight went, it was a good fight. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't like a boring fight. But we did see Ruffy kind of struggle a little bit. He was a little bit inactive at times. So it doesn't exactly scream hype to me, at least. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't scream hype. It doesn't make me feel super, super hyped to see that. But Prates has been looking really good. I think that's actually the perfect step for him in his career. He took out a top guy in Leon Edwards. And why not? Look, the guy has fun fights. We know it's going to be a fun fight, him and Conor McGregor. He'll probably beat Conor if that's what the UFC want. He'll probably beat Conor because he's a young guy. He hits hard. He's big. He's tall. He's going to be, Conor McGregor, keep in mind, he's like a 5'9" guy. This is a real welterweight who's, he's like 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", something like that. I think he might be 6'3". He's a really tall guy. So we're talking 6 inches taller than Conor McGregor. Carlos Prates, I think, would beat him. And obviously, look, he has knockout power as well. He's been beating top dudes. So I think that would have made sense. But he's saying it's a no-name. But as I've said before, keep in mind, this is Conor McGregor saying it's a no-name. Prates, I don't think would be a no-name. I think that's a pretty good matchup. I think that would be a matchup that a lot of fans would like. I wouldn't consider him necessarily a no-name, but obviously Conor McGregor's status, that is a no-name. However, Ruffy, I think it is fair for him to say a no-name. And I'm not saying, obviously we know him as fans, but I don't really think much casuals know who he is. Prates does have a little bit of a name for himself with knockouts he's had, with big moments. Like I said, also big placements in his career. He's, headlined events and things like that. So he's had enough. I think it makes perfect sense for Prates. It just doesn't make as much sense for Ruffy. And if they do Ruffy, I mean, that is really trying to get a return on your investment, in my opinion. Really just, okay, let's try to just get someone that doesn't have hype and fast track him, which it's not even the right move for him. I think Ruffy, he should just focus on getting better. If he would have went out there and KO'd Fiziev, I would have said, clearly this guy is better, is really good. And it's just time for him to get that spotlight. But I think he also needs to improve. I think if he gets the spotlight too early, that could also hurt him, which we've seen with a lot of guys. Just make Trump fight someone at the White House. That would do numbers. That probably would do the biggest numbers. You know what I'm saying? Iran, you know what I'm saying? Do something with that. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, but Conor McGregor, does it ultimately be Michael Chandler? Because I think that, look, does Ruffy make sense? I don't really care to see Ruffy. Do they ultimately just say, okay, fine, whatever, Conor, let's do Chandler versus you? I hope for Chandler's sake that's what it is. Because, man, I got to be real. I've been seeing Michael Chandler in interviews. The guy just looks sad. And I don't blame him, because the guy has been the best, the most company man of all time for the UFC, has done everything they wanted, has, offered to, has stood on the sidelines after they said, oh, Conor's going to fight, ultimately didn't get the Conor fight, has been waiting And how he finds out that I guess this fight is dead is Dana White in an interview being like, oh, that's years old, like at this point. That is so brutal. That's so brutal for poor Michael Chandler, man. And I don't blame him. He's probably thinking in his head, wow, I fucking like kissed these people's ass for fucking, I mean, dude, the guy's been in the UFC since 2021, 5 years. So he's like, I fucking kissed, and I'm saying this in defense of Michael Chandler. I'm really not making fun of him, I swear. But he's like, oh man, I've kissed these guys' ass for like 5 years, all for them to literally screw me over and treat me with the most utter disrespect. That's why I feel bad. Like, this guy's probably like, damn, like, it's one thing to get screwed over, but it's another thing the fact that this guy has really been like, his attitude is probably like, oh, let me put on my bootstraps and go to work, and, you know, I'll put in the work and they'll recognize it. And it's like, bro, like, that did not happen whatsoever. Like, this guy really just did this in good faith, and Chandler got fucking screwed over. You know what I'm saying? Chandler got screwed over by the UFC. And I'm not saying this, like I said, I am really not saying this. I know it sounds harsh because it's not what I did. I'm just saying blatantly what happened. The UFC literally did him so slime. The first Usman versus Colby fight, Colby accused him of cheating because Usman got time to recover for eye pokes and groin shots. The replay showed both were clean strikes. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, look, obviously there's always been that kind of like controversy and stuff, but there's always like stuff like that in fights. I think, look, even the rematch did have so much of an effect on it. I don't think that he was ever so hurt. I think the most hurt that Usman was in that whole fight was the end of the 4th round in the second fight. But also, obviously Colby did better in the first fight. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying a specific shot. So I'm just saying to make a difference. But he did hit him good in the body in the first fight. Yeah, I hate it when people like MMA Joey hate on Chandler. Yeah, no, like Chandler literally has done nothing wrong. Chandler, look, and Chandler's a goof, let's be real. Yeah, you can make fun of Chandler, you can make jokes about Chandler, but at the end of the day, Michael Chandler really is just a good guy. You know what I'm saying? He really is just a good guy and has really been a company man, a UFC man. I mean, when Conor McGregor pulled out, I'm pretty sure he was like, hey, guys, don't worry. Like, whoever you guys want me to fight, let me know. I will be ready. I'll wait for you guys. You guys let me know on your end, blah, 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 whatever. All for essentially him just to get screwed over. It's tough. Jack Usman was hurt badly by a punch and kicked the body on the belt line, and him calling fouls kept Colby from finishing the fight. In my book, Colby won that fight. It was a close fight. Honestly, I haven't watched that fight in a minute to say, like, oh, confidently, oh, that's why I kind of am having a little bit of trouble. I do kind of recall after talking about it that, yeah, he did get hit. But to me to say, like, oh, Usman, or that Colby won the fight, I don't know. I'm not like, I feel like we could, it definitely should have been a rematch. And look, we saw in the rematch what happened, is my opinion. Like, I think if Colby won the rematch, I think maybe then we could kind of have those conversations more. But it's kind of like, I don't know. It's pointless when, it's not even really worth, in my opinion, going down that rabbit hole when he's already lost. But I see what you mean. I don't disagree with what you're saying, is what I'm saying. But I wouldn't necessarily, I don't feel as strong, as you do, to say, oh, Colby won, whatever. But it definitely was a good fight. Those are fucking classic fights. Those are great fights, both of them. I was actually there in attendance for the second fight. So, lucky me, right? What do you call it? But yeah, no, we'll see if Conor McGregor returns ultimately. It has seemed to be, we've been pretty much talking about Conor McGregor's return since the dawn of the channel. Think about it like this. I have never been on YouTube for a Conor McGregor fight week. Isn't that a crazy stat? I've been on, YouTube for at this point, a little over 3 years now. We are not hitting the point. We have not hit the point of a Conor McGregor fight week. So that'll definitely be exciting. I've talked a lot about Conor McGregor coming back. Talked a lot about Conor McGregor. We literally made a recap series for his tough show. We covered his sexual assault trial. We have done so many things involving Conor McGregor. And yeah. And yeah, shout out, man. I guess that's kind of it, really. There isn't really much other news. Let me take a look. Is there anything you guys want me to talk about or anything like that? But I talked about the fight night. I talked about the White House card update. I talked about some of these new fight nights that got announced. I decompressed after yesterday. Let me maybe give some more thoughts on the announcement yesterday, because obviously I was pretty depressed yesterday. I won't lie to you guys. Just because Dana White he edged hard, man. I really was excited. I was excited. I wanted a big announcement. I was hoping for and at least a surprise. I really had high expectations, I won't lie. And honestly, I was thinking afterwards, I was just sad thinking damn, the chat was telling me the whole time it's nothing. I was like, nah, they're trolling, and all of them are right, you know what I'm saying? So y'all really got in my head last night. That's all I'll say. But so let's talk about Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. This isn't a bad fight. I actually like this fight. This is two Bellator dudes. Pitbull hasn't really looked so good in the UFC as of yet, and Aaron Pico, his only appearance was that spinning elbow where he got brutally KO'd. So interesting fight, and kind of going to be a good bouncing off point for one of these guys. Probably Aaron Pico, the UFC probably wants him to win more. He's a bit younger, like Patricio Pitbull. What else is there really else to do with him? But two Bellator guys, so that's pretty interesting. We also have this fight, which I think a lot of people are memeing, rightfully so, on social media, because we see these matchups all the time, right? Where, the old guy, the old veteran, the guy that's been getting knocked out, it goes up against the young buck. But this is probably the most, I think, blatant. Beneil Dariush even I'd be like, oh, come on, UFC. Are you fucking serious at this point? Because it's dude, this guy has gotten knocked out. And I'm talking about, if you look at his last 5 or so fights, the guy has gotten, brutally KO'd time and time again. This is, one of the most blatantest, in my opinion. And I'm not even talking about just KO'd, KO'd in the first minute. His fight with Beneil Dariush. Not Beneil Dariush. He is Beneil Dariush. Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm looking right now at his stats. 16 seconds. Renato Moicano, he won. But against Arman Tsarukyan, remember, he got brutally KO'd against Oliveira. So literally in his last 4 fights, the guy has lost by first round finish 3 times, and he won 1 against Renato Moicano. And even then in that Moicano fight, I don't even think that was a clean performance from him, to my memory. Jag, no one cares much anymore, and Colby's unfortunately cringe now. But my take is that if a fighter has to cheat to avoid getting finished, that counts as getting finished. Colby by DQ, fair enough. I think that's fair. Justice for Colby. That's fair enough. Like I said, I can't really argue with that. I agree with you, to be honest. Fucking Lo'ner. I don't even know how to say this guy's name. I keep fucking it up. But with an amazing preference, I assume you mean performance, though, man. Yeah, no, he looked really good tonight. This was a great opportunity for him. Potentially now be in a number 1 contenders fight. You don't know. He did lose his last fight, so maybe he gets. But I think potentially. Look, flyweight. Although I don't know. Given honestly, for the this is one of those times where this isn't oh man, we need a contender. There's a lot of guys we have Tatsuro Taira, Joshua Van coming up, and the winner of that is going to be fighting Pantoja, we could assume, right? Probably. I would assume probably. What I'm thinking about right now is, if Van wins, does he say, look, I want to fight in June, and Pantoja's not ready in June, and then they say, okay, we'll give you another opponent, and then Pantoja fights him the end of the year? Is that possible? Possibly. So if that happens, but assuming that next is Pantoja, Lo'ner Kavanaugh, he might have to fight twice, or fight twice maybe before the title shot. If he wins, I'm assuming. Georgia Fafo. If you're talking about, I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't know if you're talking about the Raf thing, but Manal Cape there too. Yeah, that's a good point too. Manal Cap. You're right. He almost got the title shot this time, but you got to touch it. Yeah, it's a long line. Maybe they do Cap versus Kavanaugh. That wouldn't be bad. Horiguchi. Yeah, that's facts too. Yeah, flyweight's actually been popping lately, which is some that's. I'm glad we could actually say that for once, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. Let me know what you guys think. I think we kind of blew through the news. I love streaming, man. I definitely want to stream a lot more. We're going to be streaming more. Yuri and Carlos Solberg also, by the way. But I kind of talked about that all last night. But I like that fight, too. I think it'll be a fun fight. I was someone that honestly was championing for Olberg versus Pereira. I kind of wanted to see it. I thought it was an interesting storyline with Olberg training with Adesanya. The Armin Giorgio match where Armin got him back for all the slaps. Yeah. We actually watched it on stream earlier. You missed it. But, yeah, no, that was fucking crazy. Shout out to Armin. I didn't know really the whole backstory of it, though. So, I didn't even know there was like beef beforehand. But yeah. But yeah, no, I like that main event, and I was interested in the Carlos Ulberg and Pereira storyline a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. Yuri versus Ulberg, and honestly, at this point, I'm kind of liking. I'm not a fan of Aspinall versus. Oh, there's actually some breaking news I can give you guys, but I'm not really a fan of Aspinall versus Pereira. However, big news: Aspinall versus Pereira. Not really a big fan of that, but I do like Pereira versus Jones, and I really love also Pereira versus Gane. I think that's a fun fight. I've been saying that for a few years. But we got some breaking news. RAF announces a new main event. Are we ready for this? Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo, as you guys can see here. So, obviously, RAF. I mean, first of all, this poster's a little bit odd, but look, Cejudo coming out of retirement out of UFC. You know, he retired in UFC, coming to the wrestling scene. Merab. Going to be the main event. This is a really big main event, guys. Surprised that, honestly, they have been having a lot of success, RAF, and credit. Look, Fox has really landed something with these guys because, honestly, man, I might tap into that. I said I was going to tap into this one, and I forgot, though, to be honest, but that is a really good, interesting main event. So we'll see. That's huge, though. That's a really big main event for them to land. I'm shocked. Also, Khamzat Chimaev was smiling watching Arman Tsarukyan brawl at RAF. Play right here. Here's Khamzat, as you can see. And yeah, but big things for RAF. Jack, before you end, give your thoughts on Jorge Masvidal being respected after attacking Colby from behind in a mask after getting his ass whooped in the cage. How did everyone forget? So no, obviously I'm trying to think, was I on YouTube for that at that time? I don't think I was. I think that was like a few months before. Like I think that was like 9 months or so before. But no, obviously even at the time, I mean, I said at the time, like I thought it was the biggest joke. Jorge Masvidal was obviously in there for 25 minutes and then can't do anything against Colby and then attacks him at a nightclub is obviously, it was more pathetic than anything like that. Actually, I think there is videos of me reacting to it. I think there was like me reacting to the body footage, and yeah, that was my opinion. Was it was cringe. I agree. And I'm more interested to see. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Some people say, did Nelk? Was this an inside job? Was that not? I have no idea. But Khamzat tweeted, and in the replies, he said he's waiting for Strickland. Oh wow. So apparently we got Sean Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev. Man, are they going to really go for that? Are they going to really skip over Nasruddin Imavov? That would be big. And, I mean, if they do, I mean, that is definitely, I've said, UFC free speech. I've made fun of them, and I've accused them of not really being free speech. And they did cut off Sean Strickland's microphone last week when Sean Strickland was doing his post-fight interview. But, I mean, if they do give him that title shot, I mean, first of all, very interesting to see maybe Paramount. Does Paramount care about that at all? Maybe they don't. I mean, at this point, Paramount, I don't know. Do they not really give a shit about that kind of thing? Or are they like, hey, look, we kind of let it slide last week. We put his posters everywhere and we're dealing with all this shit. Now Variety reaching out. We don't want this again now for a bigger event, Jorge should still be mocked for that. No one brings it up anymore, and Jorge still gets to act hard. Bizarre. Yeah, I mean, I think Jorge Masvidal's just kind of fallen into more of a relevancy, and I'm not even a Jorge Masvidal hater. I'm not like a huge hater. Was that situation cringe? Yeah. But, I wouldn't categorize myself, I guess, as a massive hater of his, but the guy's kind of fallen off. And like, what do we talk about Jorge Masvidal for? The guy has been saying for, I feel like 2-3 years, I'm gonna fight, and at this point we don't even talk about it. I don't know if he's gotten injured. The guy's older now. Will he ever fight? Probably. I don't even know. The guy has so much money, he doesn't really need to fight. I think what's probably happening is he's like, oh, give me a good matchup, UFC, come on. And the UFC are giving him probably names like Prates, probably names like, Sean Brady, probably names like guys that they want to actually build up, JDM, guys like that they want to build up. And I'm sure he's like, dude, I want to fight the Conor McGregors. I want to fight, I know Nate Diaz isn't in the UFC, but those type of names that are big, I'm trying to think of someone else, like maybe even Islam, who is obviously has a belt. Maybe like he wants like a kind of matchup like that. Obviously, no reality would Jorge Masvidal be fighting for the belt next, but I'm just saying like he wants a matchup that probably is really big. The UFC probably are not giving it to him, so that's what I think, to be honest, of him. But imagine a Khamzat and Strickland press conference. Yeah, that would be good. That would be a big fight. I mean, I think that would definitely create. I mean, look, no, that fight is big. When I say, oh, I don't know if they'll do it, it's not because it's not big enough. It's not that at all. It's, I wonder, I mean, it's more about Paramount, I think. I feel like it's kind of, in my opinion, I feel like it could be interpreted as a slap in the face logistically, just because I feel like, look, Paramount Plus, they're probably like, hey, look, we're doing you a favor. Probably in their POV, they feel like, hey, we're doing them a favor, giving them leniency. Like they probably look at it as, hey, you're not looking out for us. Paramount's probably thinking UFC, you guys aren't looking out for our interests. If you were, you would tell these fighters, hey, be quiet because you're hurting our brands, you're hurting this and that. They're like, you don't care for us, so why should we care for you guys? I think it's probably their POV. And probably because of the business relationship, obviously there has to be some give and take, so maybe there's leniency, obviously. But, when UFC has now been given that leniency, do they say, well, fuck that, you know what I'm saying? We deserve that, and we're going to actually double down and make this guy the pay-per-view. Now, this isn't me, and I want to stress this enough, guys. This isn't me trying to say to you guys, oh, this should be boycotted. Sean Strickland shouldn't get a title shot. He should be canceled. This is what I'm saying. I actually think I would prefer that, to be honest. I would prefer Sean Strickland versus Khamzat because, yeah, Sean Strickland doesn't necessarily deserve it, but they have history. There is back and forth there. That is a bigger fight. I think Khamzat would tear through Sean Strickland, to be honest with you guys. But I think, hey, why not? That isn't a bad fight to make. And that's what I'm saying, guys. We're talking about a lot of matchups. And I'm thinking, when could this fight happen? It could potentially be till August, which would be a full year from when Khamzat last fought. Because like I said, if they do wind up doing International Fight Week Conor McGregor, assuming that there isn't an extra pay-per-view, which there could be an extra pay-per-view maybe in May, maybe in June, maybe in July even. Or maybe in August. Maybe they just wait to the end of the year. Maybe that isn't part of the deal. Now I'm thinking about it because this is not pay-per-views anymore. This is a new model. So maybe the number of events will only be once a month now. I mean, there actually wasn't even one although I forgot there was 2 in January. How could I forget? But then there wasn't one in February. So I guess it all evened out in a way. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I could talk UFC all night, all day, as you guys know. I'm a big fan. But I think we'll wrap it up here. I don't think there's really much else to talk about. I did say that probably 20 minutes ago, and I rambled on about something else. So I could pretty much probably keep going. But I'm looking around. Is there really any news? Because I do love talking to y'all. Let me see. People making fun of Kevin K still. Poor Kevin K. Psych. Not poor Kevin K. Like I said, I've been defending Kevin. I was thinking I've defended this guy on stream. And this guy, man, really did an L job at reporting this fight news. What's baffling to me is Kevin K, about this Khamzat thing. It's a big scoop. It's honestly a big scoop and a big W, even to say it's in the works. Or it's being, not in the works, but say it was talked about. That's a big piece of news. That alone would make videos, create content, people adding you. But the fact that you didn't have to go the extra mile and say it's a done deal. He said 4. He made it seem like that was the main event. He literally replied under it, was like, oh my God, oops, what the fuck is happening? What the hell? He didn't have to say oh, it's set. He made it like it was a set thing. He even replied under and was like, oh my God, I'm shaking. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have to go that extra mile. You feel me? So I think that, I don't know. I think that really messed things up, and I think that he probably is going to live that down. Adrian, have a good night, buddy. But maybe I'll see Kobe look good one more time. You never know. But yeah, guys, thank you all for coming in, though. Pause. There will be more videos and stuff this week. For sure. There just hasn't really been too much news, but I've been streaming and stuff. Like I said, check out the Mike Check podcast, Mike Check NYC. It's not in the link in the description, of course. I forgot. Let me go add that right now for y'all, just so y'all could see. I mean, why not? Y'all could go check it out. I'm gonna save it right now in there, so it'll be right there. And I'll actually put it in the chat, so you guys could put it in there. But this is obviously a podcast I do. It'll be the first link. I'm gonna start adding it to all of them, so y'all can kind of see it more. But they're always at the end of the videos too. But so this has been a phenomenal stream. But let me put this in the chat. Here. Like I put in the chat, if y'all wanna hit the subscribe button to it, that would be much appreciated. That is the podcast. And we interview all types of people. It's more of a comedy podcast, I've explained on other streams. Did you see the Armin situation? Yes, I did. I reacted to it actually earlier on stream when we watched it. Like I said, I said this before, but look, it adds to this idea, Armin is unprofessional. All it does is hurt him, I think, in the eyes of the UFC. It gives them more of an excuse to say, let's not give him a title shot. The guy's unprofessional. I think he should be getting a title shot, but I think it's a little bit, I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, look, this is like how many outbursts can this guy have? He's hitting fans, he's fighting, and I think it most of all hurts also Raf too. Like I think it's kind of wonder how they feel about that whole thing, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's actually a good thing. Maybe it's just exposure for them at this point because they are a growing business. Have a good night, Johnny Monday says. Yes, you have a good night as well. I'll wrap up and let's see the poll. So 50% of people say Islam now. What the hell's going on? There's like a turn. I'd rather Michael Morales. I think Usman, and then I think Michael Morales versus Islam is the fight to make. That is my opinion, y'all. But I think this will be it. Thank y'all for watching. You guys are the best fan-based MMA, best fan base in the world. You guys make me tear up on a daily basis with your comments, your concerns, everything. He became the first one to take down that guy. Oh, really? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I got to tap into RAF, guys. I got to really tap in. But, yeah. I'll see you guys later. Thank you Water Wheels, thank you Johnny Monday, thank you Piggly Wiggly, thank you all, John Dong, Cyber Cop, and the list goes on and on. The Wade brothers, shout out to y'all. I'll see y'all in a video coming soon, and check out the podcast. I'll see you guys later.